Break Fix's History of Motorsports series is brought to you in part by the International Motor Racing Research Center, as well as the Society of Automotive Historians, the Watkins Glen Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Argetsinger family.
Remembering Giacomelli and Alfa Romeo almost winning the last United States Grand Prix at Watkins Glen by Dr. Mario Tecce. Mario Felice Tecce has been a Formula One and motorsports enthusiast since 1971. With his strong interest and deep passion in car racing, he explored Formula One seasons for the last 50 years as a major example of pursuing the best life choices. This is because following motorsport may not be only pleasant and interesting, but also a way to recognize drivers' high-level competition as a shared effort to pursue together the best possible result. He is a molecular biomedical researcher and teaches biochemistry at the University of Salerno in Italy. October 5th, 1980, was a very important day at Watkins Glen International Circuit. Historical research, including that of motor racing, cannot be done with hypotheses or with what-ifs, but only with facts. However, it can indeed be conceived that the facts of the day affected many future things. This was going to be the last Formula One Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. The starting grid had an unexpected pole sitter, the Alfa Romeo of Giacomelli. Those were the years of Ferrari, winner of the 1979 championship, of Lotus winning in 1978, while the age of Williams was just beginning. Alfa Romeo, although possessing ancient racing victories, was back in racing for less than 2 years. Giacomelli, an Italian driving a fully Italian car, started on the pole, maintaining firmly his lead position. He kept the lead and seemed close to an extraordinary win, but suddenly a minor electrical problem stopped him on track and the Williams of Jones won the race. One wonders what would have happened if Giacomelli had won. Perhaps Alfa Romeo's racing efforts would not have been discontinued, and a second major Italian team would have stayed in Formula One. Possibly a prestigious F1 win in the US, the major car market world, and eventual further successes could have improved the prospects of Alfa Romeo to remain an Italian state property and continue the progress as an independent firm.
I'm very happy to be part of this symposium. I'm recording from Naples, Italy. Now, coming to my discussion, to my talk, the point I want to discuss is this occasion of the last Watkins Glen Formula One Grand Prix of 1980, where Bruno Giacomelli, the driver of Alfa Romeo, almost won the race. Here you see the start of the race, and you see the red and white Alfa Romeo of Bruno Giacomelli leading just after, having started from the pole position. You see big champions after him: Nelson Piquet, Carlos Reutemann, Elio De Angelis, and actually exiting the first turn, Alan Jones, which was going to win the race later. Bruno Giacomelli led almost half of the race, but for a minor electrical problem had to stop on the track and lost the race. I think that this missed victory could and should have heavily affect later Formula One racing, and I want to discuss about. Obviously, talking about hypotheses, and history should not be done with hypotheses, but just remembering important facts which affected history, I think is also important. So I have to remember what is so important about this race and this day. It was the 5th of October, 1980. This was going to be the last Formula One race at Watkins Glen, actually going to be the race in which Alan Jones were winning his first and unique world title. But starting from the pole position, this Alfa Romeo was something quite sensational. Why? It was an Italian driver, and it was not so common, actually, even today, it's not so common to see an Italian driver leading a Formula One race with a fully Italian car, fully both thinking about the engine and the chassis. Remember the facts which make this important. I mean, I don't think it's a matter of remembering things which an old guy like me can make them important. I think that for several reasons, this was an important occasion. Remembering facts of Formula One in the 70s, we have to remember at that time, most cars were using only the one engine, the very good, very powerful Cosworth V8 engine. And there was only another important engine, which was the one from Ferrari. Ferrari was at that time, for a long time, the only team building both the engine and the car and the chassis. Then at the end of the 70s, Alfa Romeo started to make a Formula One engine, giving it to Brabham, and then deciding, making the chassis and the engine. And also we have to remember that in these years, also Renault started to make a turbo engine. And actually, turbo engines were going to affect heavily Formula One. And in the following years, all cars were going to have a turbo engine. Also, another thing we have to remember, in those days, Formula One was changing a lot because of the so-called ground effect. Cars were like this Lotus 79, the big champion Mario Andretti, which is obviously very well known even in the United States, like in Europe, because he has accomplished things, many things, both in Formula One, but also in all American races. In those days, cars like this were having this ground effect in their side, having wings sealed with skirts, with so-called skirts, lateral skirts. Alfa Romeo, in those days, decided to come back in Formula One. Alfa Romeo was a very important racing team in the past, actually, from the 20s. We can just show here the very big win of Nuvolari in the 1935 German Grand Prix before the Second World War. But when Formula One started in the 50s, the first World Formula One Championship was taken from Alfa Romeo with Giuseppe Farina. And the second, the 1951 Formula One Championship, was also taken from Alfa Romeo, in this case with John Manuel Fangio. In the following years, Alfa Romeo left Formula One, but about 30 years later, Alfa Romeo decided to be back in Formula One with this car. And here you see, in 1979, Zolder Grand Prix, this small team with this driver, Bruno Giacomelli, returning in Formula One in 1979. And the very interesting thing is that they returned in the middle of the year, but at the end of the year, in the Monza Grand Prix. But in a few months, they also prepared a second car, this Alfa Romeo 179, which was using a different engine, not the 12 flat engine, but the VU engine, the 12 VU engine, which was made thinking about the fact that the car had to be also a wing car and needed lateral space to seal big wings and to have this ground effect. In the same year, they realized that two different cars with two different engines, and actually this was the car which was used in the season, in the following season, 1980. With this car, they had a constant improvement, which brought them to the pole position of the last Grand Prix in Watkins Glen, a pole position which was absolutely not a combination of the occasional results due to special events, but the conclusion of a year of still improvement. And next we see more details. Here is the cover of the major Italian magazine about car racing, which was saying after the race, Alfa, thank you anyway. And these are the numbers. The numbers are interesting. You see this pole position, this is the starting grid. You see almost 1 second of difference between the first Alfa Romeo of Bruno Giacomelli and the car of Nelson Piquet, Brabham, or Carlos Reutemann, very important champions with very important cars. So the point is, new team was developed in less than 2 years and was able to be on the top. How was this possible? Bruno Giacomelli was the Formula 2 champion the year before, and then Formula 2 champion, and was, even if he was very young, he was able to make a relevant contribution to car development, showing that he was able to take full advantage of a top car. So his contribution was very important. At the same time, engineer Carlo Chitti was a special engineer, able not only to make engines, but also making a full car, originally with Ferrari, and then always with Alfa Romeo, also designing the car, winning the 1975 World Sport Car Championship. Here you see him still working in Ferrari at the end of the 50s or the beginning of the 60s. And you see here an image of Carlo Chitti after qualifying the Watkins Glen Grand Prix in 1980. Very happy for the result. It was an important result. Actually, the Giacomelli in this car were not able to finish the race, but showed a very big performance, and everybody considered there were going to be very relevant perspective of Alfa Romeo for the next years. We can also conclude this considering that Mario Andretti decided to drive for Alfa Romeo for the next season in 1981. And Jackie Stewart, in that occasion, showed a lot of consideration for Alfa Romeo Formula One. There were a lot of perspectives which actually Alfa Romeo was not able to meet in the next years for several reasons. One reason was that in the next year, lateral scares for ground effort were not allowed anymore. Actually, the following year, car had to be changed. Still, it was possible to have a ground effort, but these scares were not allowed, and there were also, we have to say, some teams which found a way to have a ceiling of a lateral wing, and Alfa Romeo didn't do anything to have this performance, so Alfa Romeo started to lose. Then in the following years, there was this switch to turbocharged engines, and also there was a decreasing interest of Alfa Romeo management. So this big day, the end of 1980 in Watkins Glen, which was also going to be the last Formula One race in Watkins Glen, didn't have a very important development. However, we have this question: what would have been of Alfa Romeo team if winning this race? Probably things would have been even different. The consideration for the team would have been much higher. Probably the Alfa Romeo management would have considered more money to be put in this program. We don't have an answer for this question. But I think the point is that in that occasion, there was a team, there was a special driver like Bruno Giacomelli, an engineer like Carlo Chitti, which were able to show that they were able to make big performance, but big job, and this has to be recognized. I hope there was some interest in this talk, and I want to thank very much the organization, and especially Bob Barr and Duke Ersinger. There will be a link to contact me if anybody is interested to ask questions. I will be glad to answer. Thank you for the attention, everybody. Thanks a lot.
This episode is brought to you in part by the International Motor Racing Research Center. Its charter is to collect, share, and preserve the history of motorsports, spanning continents, eras, and race series. The center's collection embodies the speed, drama, and camaraderie of amateur and professional motor racing throughout the world. The center welcomes serious researchers and casual fans alike to share stories of race drivers, race series, and race cars captured on their shelves and walls and brought to life through a regular calendar of public lectures and special events. To learn more about the center, visit www.racingarchives.org. This episode is also brought to you by the Society of Automotive Historians. They encourage research into any aspect of automotive history. The SAH actively supports the compilation and preservation of papers, organizational records, print ephemera, and images to safeguard, as well as to broaden and deepen the understanding of motorized, wheeled land transportation through the modern age and into the future. For more information about the SAH, visit www.autohistory.org. We hope you enjoyed another awesome episode of Break Fix Podcast, brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or get involved, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Grand Touring Motorsports. And if you'd like to learn more about the content of this episode, be sure to check out the follow-on article at gtmotorsports.org. We remain a commercial-free and no annual fees organization through our sponsors, but also through the generous support of our fans, families, and friends through Patreon. For as little as $2.50 a month, you can get access to more behind-the-scenes action, additional pit stop minisodes, and other VIP goodies, as well as keeping our team of creators fed on their strict diet of Fig Newtons, gummy bears, and Monster. So consider signing up for Patreon today at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. And remember, without you, none of this would be possible.